Hi everyone. So I thought today what I would do for my reflection, given everything that's going on in our world with supposedly just nations bringing an international court case against Israel, I would do a little bit of talk on Oscar Romero and what we learned about him in our studies at Regis College. One of the things we studied when I was studying was liberation theology. Now, liberation theology is not a call to arms. It's not what we think of as liberation coming out of an apartheid struggle. It's a theology which calls us to freedom, which calls us to live our lives in the freedom and in the gifts that Christ has given us and that God has given us. So Oscar Romero was one of the priests in South America who was dealing with a corrupt system. They had great divides between the rich and the poor, like South Africa has, and Zimbabwe has, with people living in little tin homes, and even in Canada we have that now. We have people living in tents. So he was one of the priests that initially, like when you live in these communist countries, what the police do is initially they'll be nice to you. They'll be friendly to you. They'll say, "Oh, hello, Father, how are you? Nice day." They'll try to get you onto their side. And then when your theology becomes something that they are against, then they start with the intimidation tactics. So today, when our phones are tapped, our phones get hot. I didn't know that, but it's something I've learned through my research. They'll tap your calls, they'll listen to them, you'll hear a ping ping on the other end. Sometimes you don't now, but they can do that. They'll time your calls so that when you're having dinner, when you're having your lunch, when you're just about to doze off, you'll get a call coming in. And when you return that call, there'll be no one on the other end. So these types of things are things that happen in the communist countries. And these are the types of things that started happening to Father Romero and the people that worked with him. And if you watch that movie about him, it's very interesting. The speeches, I guess, are all in Spanish, but you do have English translations and you can put subtitles on to watch it. And then it just shows how, he tells them to stop. He tells them to stop hurting the poor, and they don't listen. And then they start coming and they start taking Father Romero in the night, and they beat him up almost to the point of death, and then they would release them. And I guess, the intimidation, the police intimidation kept getting more and more and more. They had pictures of him and they showed them the pictures and all that. And of course, Father Romero would not stop because that's his calling as a priest. He is called to bring people to Christ. He is called to bring people to know they don't have to live in poverty, that they can have better lives, they can have lives that are fruitful and productive, and they don't have to stay living in squalor. And then he gets this final warning, and he goes and he gives this sermon deliberately about the poor and about what we are supposed to do as Christians. I posted it today on my Facebook if you want to listen to it. It's got the English subtitles. And so what they did is they waited for him to come in to start saying the Mass. And as he lifted the host up for the consecration, they shot him and they killed him on the altar. So, I guess in every state, wherever we live, we don't commit suicide, right? As for us as Catholics, we are not people that go and blow ourselves up and commit suicide and say, "Oh, we're doing this in God's name." For us, it's a sin. We don't do it. We always try to choose life, choose counseling, choose different options that will give us life. But they killed Father Romero, and they killed some of the people that worked with him. And, you know, there's this thing about people saying educated people, these adults, educated people need to be taught a lesson. So because they could not stop him, they killed him because of the corruption, because the police were involved in the corruption. And so similarly with me in Toronto, when I initially used to tell Father Larry what was happening, Father used to tell me when the police were good and when they were not good. And when they sided with me, he said, those are good police. When they didn't side with me, he said, those are not good. So now, after I reported everything about this harassment, what Credit Suisse were doing to me, how I was on the planes, on British Airways, and they were saying, oh, Eddie likes her, the people collecting the money for comic relief. I was like, what the hell, man? I mean, complete strangers. You're walking in an airport and the security guards are saying, that's her, Eddie likes her. And they put everything on my family. They put everything on my sister. As far as I know, my sister doesn't know Eddie. As far as I know. So, anyway, once the Officer Summers told me, I don't want to see you here again, I don't want you to report it, I never went back. When the police say, oh, we need funding for the dog died and nobody's helping and all this, I don't say anything. Sometimes I'll like their tweets. Most of the times what I'll do, I'll just pick up the phone and I'll call Marco Mendocino's office, or I'll call Robin Martin, or I'll tag Pierre Poliev on LinkedIn or Facebook. I don't bother to report it anymore because basically I was accused of lying to the police because they could not get the confirmation from the banks and from other people within my building as well here where I live. I was accused of lying. So if you lie to the police, basically they can take you and put you in jail. That's essentially it. And I said, no, I did not lie to you. I told you the truth. If other people don't want to tell you the truth, that's on them. It's not on me. So what happened after all this nonsense came out about what Credit Suisse were doing, what the banks were doing, even now, the banks are supposed to put systems in place so that you don't go over your limit for your credit card. They just let people go over their limits. They're putting out loans where you can loan money for criminal rates, like 30%, 40%. They're just doing it. They don't care. And they're like, oh, people need the money. They're doing the same things now that they did in 2007, before we had the crash. So, you know what? I mean, other people have to stand up to it now. I did my share. I don't report anything to the police now. Nothing. And if my brother-in-law and my sister want to talk to me, they're going to have to call me because the police didn't put any restrictions on me. I didn't go to them because my mother told me not to come. So I left it. I really did not lie to the police about anything. And I told Bono the same thing. I said, this started when I started volunteering with you. I told him on his Facebook page, as soon as I got back from the one summit, I told him. I said to him, I have no idea what is going on, but they keep calling people to tell them where I am, and I have no idea how they found out my travel plans or where I was going. Part of it was my sister, and she's saying she was worried about me. But my own mother doesn't do that to me. So, you know, everything that was done to me, forcing me to get a psychiatric assessment, accusing me of lying to the police, accusing me of being the problem. Meanwhile, all these bankers that were laundering money, that they committed murders, they even accused people at the Vatican. The Vatican gave them money to invest. And what did they do? They said, you should have known. So you as a layperson should have known what you were doing. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I say this as somebody who worked in the banking community. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now the other police came here and they said to me, oh no, somebody reported you missing. This was a few years ago. They said, you must report it if there's harassment, because it's not only happening to you. I said to them, I won't. And they're like, why? You must report it. There's so many women that go through it. I said, I won't, because of what Officer Summers did to me. Because he made me go and get that psychiatric assessment, and he told me if I don't go, they're going to come and get me. So basically, they're going to come and arrest me and take me and force me to do it. And that's also why I got the lawyer, because I'm not willing to go and get psychiatric treatment for something I don't need. Just because my culture is different from the Muslim culture or the Indian culture, and just because I was raised differently, and I was raised to go out on my own, to drive on my own, to get together with my friends, to have a drink, to party, doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. And just because I said no, when the CEO of Credit Suisse kept calling all my companies saying that he wanted to be friends with me, doesn't make me delusional. And it doesn't mean I have mental health problems. I think they have mental health problems. To do it, and to do it for so many years, and then for other people, extended family, to say, I created it. My mom and I were very, very hurt, because I don't deserve it. I don't deserve, after all these years, to still be in unemployment or in minimum wage. I don't deserve it. What did Father Romero die for? If now, in this day and age, Nicaragua is now going and saying, oh, you know, they should feel empathy for Palestinians. Look at what happened with the Jews. They can't take what happened to the Jews and use it against them. It doesn't work that way. What about what they are doing to their own people in Haiti, in Nicaragua, in all these countries, in South Africa? What about what they are doing? Why didn't they look at what they are doing before they went and filed that case? I mean, it's ridiculous. And I thought of Father Romero. I thought of him today. I don't know why, but for some reason I did. I saw that piece about Nicaragua filing, saying that Germany should not be doing what they're doing and they should support South Africa. Support South Africa for what? So we can all be poor, and we can all have no electricity, and we can all have no jobs or minimum wage jobs, and be graduates, be the creme de la creme, and be destitute. That's what they want us to support South Africa for, and Zimbabwe and all these countries that are supporting Putin. I mean, they should think about what they're doing. Really and truly, even all these fires we had here in Canada, some people are saying it was arson. They said we've never had that many fires in Canada. They're saying it was arson. Whether it was or not, I don't know. I can tell you now, if the International Court is going to carry on doing what they're doing, we're already in a third world war. Some of us that are living in Canada are frightened because, I mean, the UK is involved in the war now because of what happened yesterday. The US is involved in the war now. So, do you really think that those of us who fought for Western values, who fought for education for women, who fought to make our own decisions, who fought to dress how we want, who fought to be free, are going to just say, yeah, take it away, whatever, as long as the Muslims are happy? Do you really think that? Whether it's what happened in Nicaragua, or whether it is what happened to Father Romero, or whether it is what's happening to women now, we won't say, take it away, go right ahead. We suffer in the process, but we don't give up. We don't give up, and we will never give up. There are women like me all over the world. The Muslim women will get all the praise now, you watch. They'll get all the praise for standing up to their Muslim men and saying no and all this. When I did it, who supported me? Who? Only my brother. Who else? It's wrong.
People need to wake up and analyze the news. Don't just accept it. Just because South Africa is saying it doesn't mean it's right. Nobody wants the Palestinians to get killed. Nobody wants it. Everyone wants it to stop. But they also have to think, do they really expect Israel to just say, yeah, it's fine? How many wars is Iran involved in? You count. And what they're doing in Nigeria and all these places. All the African nations, you go and look at the Facebook page for the leaders, for Rwanda, for Zambia. Go and look and see what they're doing. They're all putting messages for Christ. And that's the way it should be. And us, what are we doing? We're giving praise to the Muslim police because they're doing the right thing. Since when? Give me a break.